Hi, I'm Sean McVeigh with Sean's Outdoor Adventures, and today I'm at Lancaster Archery Supply with PJ Riley.
How you doing, Sean?
Thank you. PJ does the product reviews for Lancaster Archery, so if you've been on their website already, I'm sure you recognize this guy. He's very helpful. And today we're going to be doing a video on some of your more entry-level compound bows. There's a lot of people who are getting interested in archery. They're not sure if they're going to like it or not, or maybe they just don't have a super huge budget for some of these more expensive bows, and they just want to get their foot in the door. So we're going to talk about some of those real nice entry-level bows for you so you can get some of these ideas to keep in mind for when you're ready to make a purchase. PJ, why don't you show us what we got today?
We got some good ones, and I just want to point out that you can get an entry-level bow that is a quality bow. This isn't something cheap. They're very good these days.
Exactly.
So first we got the Quest Amp. Next we got your Hoyt Power Max. And this is the Mission Height. And then lastly we got your Bear Crux.
All right, so we're going to start off with the Quest Amp, and as you can see, this is a package bow, so what you see is what you get. So you get yourself a quiver, and one thing I like about the quiver is dual capture. That's something I always look for in a quiver for my hunting arrows. You know, if you only have one capture point and that arrow gets bumped, your arrow falls out, but with that second one, it can get bumped but not fall out. And if you're pulling your bow up into a tree stand and an arrow bumps something, now your arrow's on the ground, you're climbing back down, whatever. So I like that. Is, you know, quick detach. It comes with a 5-pin sight, which is nice, with a level in it and a sight light. Both of those that's really great, and it's tool free. So those are some really great aspects.
So it's a little more expensive than the others you're going to show. I think it's like $630, but there's easily a couple $100 worth of accessories on it. So
let's give it a couple shots here and see how we do. Does come off the back wall a little bit easy. But it seems pretty quick, you know. What was the poundage set on this one, do you remember?
That one should be at 65. Yep, I backed that one out, yeah.
So 65. Now the rest has like three rest points against the arrow, and when I pushed that first arrow down in, it was a little bit tight and it didn't want to go through too easy. So if you have a broadhead on your arrow, you're not going to feed it through like I just did. So I don't know if that, you know, once they get a little bit more used to being used, if the arrow will slide down in a little bit easier. But you're going to have to be careful if you're in a hunting situation and you need to take a second shot. Getting that arrow down in there, you can make some noise and spook the animal. So just little things to, you know, think about. If you do end up purchasing like this bow, that's something to practice in advance, getting that arrow down in there quietly in case you're in that situation. But I think, you know, all in all, it's for, you know, your mid-range bow. It carries some good speed and it comes with some great options to it.
No doubt. Next up, we got the Hoyt Power Max.
And this is a good seller for you guys, you said.
That is a good seller.
Now this one, let's see. So this is at $4.99, but you'll notice we don't have the quiver and all the other accessories. Those are things you could easily get, though. You're just going to have to pick all those out on your own.
Correct.
Stays on the draw stop wall a little better than the other bow. And I like to check that because you have what's called creeping. If you start to come forward just a little bit, it can throw off your shot. So you're at full draw and you're aiming, and maybe you don't realize that your hands come up forward a little bit. It can throw off the shot overall between the aiming, and also you're actually using less draw length and less draw weight when you're if you're letting go a little bit closer to, you know, letting down. So it has an impact. And I like to check that, how easy it comes off of that draw stop ball. So this one stays on a little better than the last bow. And it shoots pretty quick too. And I'd say it feels like a pretty good bow, you know, in that midpoint price range.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's a very popular one for us, and we sure sell a lot of them.
Yeah,
You know.
and you know, some of the things you'll notice, like, well, what's the difference between this and the $1,000 bows? And there's going to be some components. I'm like looking at it right here. Your limb pockets; these are a different material. It's sort of like a more plastic-looking material as opposed to your machined aluminum that you're going to see in your more expensive bows. So it's little things like that.
Cable slide.
Cable slide is, you know, so we mentioned the cable guard, if you want to grab that, just to show you what we're talking about. So there's a bar here, and this piece slides along the bar, you know, when the shot is, when you pull back. All right, so that's what you have on that bow. Next to their high-end bows, they have a roller and this special anti-torque bar. And this whole apparatus is obviously, you know, the components are a little bit more expensive, and the whole, you know, system itself.
When you come to full draw on this one here, this whole system actually flexes in to reduce the amount of torque.
Yeah, and so we're just showing you that so you can see what is the difference. Well, these types of things are what go into the difference. However, you know, this bow here, it still shoots nice, quick, quiet.
Oh, yeah.
It feels good in the hand, and so it's good for you to try them out. And even if you come to like Lancaster Archery and try shooting them both and see, you know, do I feel a difference? Is the price that important to me, or do I just want to get into the archery and try something along this level? So
we've certainly had people come in and try the mid-range and the high-end, and they were just like, hey, the mid-range one feels better, and we say then go with that.
Yeah, go with that. All right, so this is the
Mission Height, this one is.
Mission Height. And again, you'll notice no quiver, so it doesn't come with all the accessories that you saw with the Quest amp. Price range are at $399.
And this is one of the super adjustable ones. I think the draw length is like 19 to 30. Length, and the weight is 15 to 70 pounds.
Yeah.
It's a huge adjustment.
Yeah, and that is something, I mean, if you have a young kid who's getting into archery, you know, let's say 8 years old, well, the kid could grow with this bow for years, you know, be shooting all the way up to the teenage years when you have that much adjustability. Or you can switch it from one person to the next if you needed to.
Well, like you mentioned, young kids, what we also see, even an adult who comes in who's a new archer, they come in with this mindset, oh, I have to shoot 60, 70 pounds. Well, if they're not used to drawing a bow, we'd like to see them start at like 40. Get your form down, and then you can...
That's very important. You got to get that form down. And then also, if you're that adult and you have kids or plan to have kids, you can then pass this on to the kid when it's at shooting age and get yourself, now that you're in it for a while, get yourself something, you know, a little bit newer. So let's take some shots here. I really like the versatility, you know, with that draw weight and draw length. Has a nice feeling draw cycle. It drops back down into the valley. So one thing when you're drawing bows, you know, some it's going to feel like the weight stays with it till the very end almost. Some you're going to drop down into the valley. When I say valley, that you're going to really feel the draw weight come down. And you know, it's definitely noticeable on this one. You're coming down into the valley back here. It stays back here pretty good, but you can see there's a little bit of I can move it a little bit. Here's forward a little bit, back. So when you're at full draw, you really need to keep, you know, a little bit of tension back to make sure you don't creep, you know, with a lot of these types of bows. So I just want to point that out. But it feels really nice when it goes off. You know, and that adjustability range is just great. And it's pretty quiet. It's a nice bow overall. You just got to make sure you keep that, you don't let yourself creep when you're at full draw. Yeah, it's nice. It's got good balance to it.
Yeah, these are very good bows for us. Next up, we have the Bear Crux. And as you can see, this one, again, comes with all these accessories on there. It's $550, but you got your sight, your rest.
The sight has a light in it. And it's nice because if you're hunting in a ground blind, that light makes a big difference. It really helps. And one little difference with the sight is this one you will need an Allen wrench to move it around, whereas the other one is toolless. You can just tighten and loosen it with your fingers. For the windage and the vertical, you still have to do your independent pin movement there. But now this has a single capture for the quiver. I pointed that out on the other one, the double capture, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. But it does have the sling for it, which is nice. The reason for this sling in a lot of situations is you don't want to grip the bow too tightly. You want to keep that hand relaxed. And having the sling there, you don't have to worry about dropping the bow. You can really focus on keeping that hand relaxed and making a good shot. If you're gripping too much, you can push the bow around and that'll negatively affect your shot. Now this bow has a thinner grip than some of the others. Some people like the thinner grip, some people prefer a slightly thicker grip. I just mentioned it just so you have that in mind when you're looking at it. And this stays on the stop wall very nicely. And it feels really nice when it goes off. One thing I pay attention to when a bow goes off, we call it hand shock, how much vibration you feel from the bow, and you don't feel much at all from this bow, which is nice. All right, so I have to say, you know what? These bows, they all feel really good. And I want to encourage you to shoot them for yourself. One thing, people watching this video on the internet, there's a lot of internet shoppers out there. They want to buy something without having to try it, or maybe you don't have a place close to you, so you don't have that to go off of. I'm going to just say these bows I shot, they all feel of the same quality. And it's good. They don't feel cheap. They feel good when they go off. As you mentioned, some people even think these feel a little better than some of your higher price bows because there's not as much tweaking going on as to get more speed out of those higher price bows. One thing I'll point out, you have a package deal here. Can you grab that Quest for me? The Quest is a package deal. Some of the few differences that we pointed out in the quiver. If you're going to be doing a lot of hunting and leave the quiver on, just something to consider. This has 4 pins in the sight, this has 5. Obviously 5 allows you to shoot farther. Some people like fewer pins though because there's less to worry about which one to use. So think about that for you. Do I want to be able to shoot 50 yards and need a 5-pin system or 60 yards? Or do I want fewer pins? Those are little things that could help your decision-making process. This also has a level in it, which is helpful to help make sure the bow is vertical. Because if the bow is tilted, if you go back, like look at the pins where they are. If I tilt it, the left to right is going to get thrown off in my aiming. So the farther back I go, the more the arrow is going to hit to the side. That means it's important to keep that bow vertical, and having the level in there is very helpful for that.
Especially in tree stands and on side hills, because what you may think is level may not be level.
Yes. I live on a steep hill, and there's been times I've been out there and drew my bow back, and I felt like the bow was vertical, and I had to tilt the bow where I felt like the bow was like that, just to get it vertical for the whole process of aiming. So those are just some things to think about, and I don't think you can go wrong with any of these bows, to be honest with you. If you're worried, I want to make sure I get the best thing for my money. I think that the manufacturers are all putting out a good quality product in this price range, and after shooting all these, I wouldn't mind having any one of them or putting my kid in one of them. Although the one we talked about, the Mission, I guess, the adjustability of that was really extensive. Yeah, huge at 15. You can all the way down to 15-pound pull, all the way up to 70, 19-inch draw to a 30-inch draw. So that, that can go a long way. What's our adjustability on the Hoyt? Maybe you're picking that up, maybe you're going to tell us something there.
The Hoyt is 60 to 70 pounds range, which is typical. And the draw length is 25 and a half to 30. So there's some adjustability there, but 10 pounds is normal for those.
Yeah, so like if let's say you're a teenager and you want a decent bow, but you don't have $1,000, a bow like that is, intended for you. Whereas maybe the Mission is intended to reach a larger audience. Like I wouldn't hesitate to take that bow hunting right there. Actually, all of these, they felt good in the shot, and I feel, I would feel confident, trying to take them in the woods. So.
Sure.
So yeah, I hope some of that information you can think about that. It's really important if you can get out to shoot them. Try to do that. Don't just rely on some information on these review videos if possible. Get out there and do some shooting. So thank you so much for having me out today. I hope that helps.
Our pleasure.
And also this guy, if you go on the Lancaster Archery's website and you look at some of these products, he does individual reviews for each one, and that can give you even more information. So check him out and you'll recognize that face right there. Take care. God bless.